There are many types of monsters in this world. Monsters who cause trouble without showing themselves, monsters who abduct children, monsters who devour dreams, monsters who suck blood, and then monsters who tell nothing but lies. Lying monsters are a real nuisance. They are much more cunning than other kinds. They pose as humans, even though they have no understanding of the human heart. They eat, even though they've never experienced hunger. They study, even though they have no interest in academics. They seek friendship, even though they do not know how to love. If I were to encounter such monsters, I would likely be eaten by them. Because in truth, I am that monster. For many years, I have played in my mind all the possible ways Dread Pirate Roberts could have gotten away with it, until I came to the realization that there was no way to get out of it. Every piece of evidence, every trace, breadcrumb, digital footprints, everything pointed at him. All his previous mistakes were his biggest flaws. You see, in the quest to secure cyberspace, we often forget about the most unpredictable vulnerability, not the unpatched server, the social engineering attempt, or the weak password. No, it's the digital breadcrumbs we leave behind. Our past selves. That hit hard, because no matter how good someone gets, eventually everybody, regardless of their intelligence, their role in society, everybody makes mistakes when they are learning. Take Ross Ulbricht, for example. A brilliant mind with an idealistic vision. But every digital pirate's tale has a trail, and for Ross, that trail was a map for the FBI. Why? Because sometimes the monster in the machine is us. Ross wasn't just selling contraband, he was selling an idea. A free market, unfettered by laws or morals. His Silk Road wasn't just a marketplace, it was a battleground for his ideology. One of the earliest leads was the discovery of the Silk Road's server location by an FBI agent. This was achieved not through hacking, but rather through a leak in the site's CAPTCHA system, which accidentally revealed an IP address directly associated with the Silk Road server. This provided law enforcement with valuable data about the site's infrastructure and activities. Parallelly, investigators found an early mention of Silk Road on a Bitcoin forum by a user named Altoid, who was later linked to Ulbricht through email addresses and other online activity. Altoid had posted seeking IT expertise for a Bitcoin startup, using an email address that led investigators to Ulbricht's Google Plus profile and, subsequently, his LinkedIn page. These pieces began to form a picture of Ulbricht as a person of interest. The actual capture of Ross Ulbricht is notable for its dramatic and somewhat fortuitous nature. Ulbricht was arrested in a public library in San Francisco. Law enforcement had been closely monitoring him, waiting for the moment when he would log into his laptop and access the Silk Road's administrative functions. The FBI seized this opportunity when Ulbricht was distracted by a staged altercation, grabbing his laptop while it was still unlocked and open to the Silk Road's admin panel. Had Ulbricht's laptop been encrypted and set to lock or shut down quickly, the story might have unfolded differently. Encryption would have made it significantly more challenging for law enforcement to access the wealth of information found on his device, including Silk Road administrative records, chat logs, journal entries, and the infamous Mastermind document outlining his plans for the site. In the scenario where the laptop had shut down and encrypted its contents before the FBI could seize it, investigators would have been faced with the daunting task of breaking through sophisticated encryption without a guaranteed success. While they had other pieces of evidence linking Ulbricht to Silk Road, the direct and unencrypted access to the site's backend and Ulbricht's digital diary provided incontrovertible proof of his role as DPR. While encryption might have posed a significant hurdle, it's worth noting that the investigation into Ulbricht was multifaceted, involving traditional detective work, analysis of digital footprints, and international cooperation to trace the physical servers. Encryption could have delayed or complicated the process, potentially requiring law enforcement to rely more heavily on other evidence gathered during their investigation. However, the comprehensive nature of the evidence against Ulbricht, including his associations, financial transactions, and earlier digital missteps, might have still led to his eventual identification and arrest. The capture of Ross Ulbricht serves as a cautionary tale about the digital breadcrumbs we leave behind and the importance of a good OPSEC in every step of the way. But here's the thing. Every ideology, when digitized, becomes traceable. A manifesto, a blog post, a Reddit or 4chan comment. They're all breadcrumbs leading back to the monster's cave. Ulbricht's downfall isn't a tale of good versus evil. It's a story of idealism crashing into reality. The FBI's honeypot wasn't just to catch a criminal, it was to make an example. To show that even in the vast, lawless digital ocean, the monsters can be caught. But let's not forget, the line between a freedom fighter and a cybercriminal can be as thin as your browser's privacy settings. So, what's the moral of our story? It's not just about securing your data or masking your online identity. It's about understanding the monster within, the one that believes in a cause, that fights for a vision, but maybe, just maybe, leaves a bit too much of itself in its path.